I think it would look cool.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Well, it wouldn't be a goatee.
All right, we're live. I'm gonna go ahead and play the
I
intro.
think it would look cool.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Well, it wouldn't be a goatee.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. What's going on, folks? I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host alongside me, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and our guest for tonight is Jake from JT Calls. How you doing?
Wonderful. How about you guys?
Doing great. Glad to have you on here tonight. You know, everything is changing so much. How if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
27?
27. It's just like we're at the point in our society where younger guys in their 20s can kick out these professions and go full time with them. I mean, it's just amazing at how easy it is compared to 20 years ago.
Sure.
To just like get up and run with a product, or that's not easy, but you know, it's just cool. And we're encountering a lot of that with the podcast, you know, you guys in their 20s that are like, I'm going, man, I got this. It's cool. It's glad to have you on.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So I guess, you know, to jump into it, for those of the viewers that don't know who you are, go ahead and, you know, just give a little background of who you are.
So my name's Jake Teal. I own and operate JT Calls. I'm 27 years old. I've been hunting all my life, duck hunting all my life. Kind of grew up, cut my teeth on it, and it's been my passion for as long as I can remember. And one day I decided I was going to start making calls, and it was a hobby, and now here we are. It's not a hobby anymore.
Awesome. So
how long did it take to go from I think we're asked the same question. How long did it take to go from hobby to doing it full time?
And it was a slow progression. It was a hobby for probably 2 years, and then it started turning into more of a business where it was consuming my, 6 at night till 2 in the morning time slot. And that happened for about 2 years. And then about a year and a half ago, I just took the leap and started doing it full time. So it was about 4 years before I decided that it was time to make the jump.
Awesome.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. So I guess when you started out, I guess were you just making duck calls, or I know you got turkey calls as well, or?
Well, I started on turkey calls because, to me anyways, the turkey call is much simpler than a duck call. It's when I got started, there's all kind, you can learn how to do anything online. I was, reading the forums, watching YouTube videos, and a turkey pot seemed way easier to do than a duck call because, you turn the barrel on the lathe. It's basically just a woodworking project. That's simple. It's when you get onto the tone board is where all the magic happens. When you're tuning a duck call, just a couple of strokes with a file changes everything drastically. So it took me a while to graduate into that, but I started on the pot calls, and I turned a bunch of them before any of them sounded like a turkey. But I finally, got one that sounded like a turkey, and took notes, duplicated it, and tried to improve.
What type of call is that you're saying?
Turkey, pot call, like a slate call.
Okay.
Slate call, yeah. So here's a kind of a fun fact. So I bought one of your diaphragm calls from you at the show when I was down there last year. And met you for the first time, but I'm a newer turkey hunter, and so the year previous to that, my buddy called into turkey for me, and I shot it. So this year, I went out with my dad opening day, and I called it first turkey I called in actually. Um, and my dad shot his first turkey using that call. So just kind of fun fact.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So kind of getting back to, your calls and your business with that. So how long after that did you start making duck calls?
I didn't. It took me a while before I got my first functioning duck call. I tried to make duck calls early on, and I got the barrels turned in the basic shape of them, but it was probably 3 years into it before I got a actual functioning tone board that I was somewhat happy with. And it was still, I mean, I still have it. It's awful, but it was, I can make it sound like a duck. And that was probably 3 years into it.
What is the hardest part about making a duck call?
It's getting the tone board right. It's everything has to be perfect. Everything, all the components have to line up perfect for it to work. Like, I can get it rough, and then, I'll run through it and it'll have a really great top end, but then it takes way too much air at the bottom end. So it's learning, okay, I got to take a few strokes of the file towards the cork notch or at the tip of the radius. It's figuring out, what adjustments to the tone board affect the sound. And so that's the biggest learning curve, is figuring out, when you sand the tone board here, what happens, because it positively affects something, and then it also negatively affects something. It's finding that medium.
And you were doing that all on yourself without any kind of anyone other than YouTube videos helping you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So in your process, do you turn calls? Or I know, I don't know where, I think I saw this, maybe it was one of your social media posts, but you CNC calls as well, correct?
Yes, I do some throughout the summer. But that gap between turkey season and then when waterfowl season starts up, I turn quite a few customs. I did last year anyways. And so, I get a little bit more time to be in the shop, and I turn some customs by hand still, but the acrylic calls, everything on the website, that's all done on a CNC. So it's every single one of them is exactly the same. And the tone boards are milled, so they're, close. And I still spend between, depending on how close it is, 5 and 15 minutes on each call. But the all the calls that are on the website are turned on a CNC now.
And can you explain what that means exactly?
So the CNC is basically, it's just like the lathe that I use, but instead of me holding the tools, it's a computer, controlling an arm. So it's all very precise. So every single one of them is, it's just for repeatability, really.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So I've done some of that. Well, not on calls, but CNC stuff in the past for work. So I'm just curious, did you learn that on your own as well, or?
No, I have a guy that does that for me.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you got somebody who codes it and programs all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's way over my head at this moment.
I was gonna say that'd be impressive from scratch, just to start like coding stuff. And
I mean, that's a goal in the future, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's way easier with a mentor.
Yeah, I don't know if the coding will be harder or the the $75,000 machine acquiring that. I don't know which one else is going to be harder. That's a goal for the future.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of calls to invest into a machine like that.
So how many different types of duck calls are you currently selling?
Right now we just have one, the CQ2. I actually started with the second split. That was the first call that I came out with, and then I kind of modified it and improved on it, and then created the CQ2. And everybody's always asking for a new one, but I'm not really sure how to improve on it. It's, for me, how I call, it's perfect.
You want to give us a sound file, maybe?
Yeah, I can do that. So this, and of course, being the call maker, I have the reject calls on my lanyard. The ones that got messed up engraving or no engraving. So this is the CQ2.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
So
sounds good.
It's a mid-range call. It'll get pretty loud, but it really shines on the bottom end. The feed call and the real soft stuff doesn't take much air, so you can get really quiet with it. It's perfect for what I do.
Awesome. You know, I know one thing you do on your YouTube channel is you have different calling tutorials, and I kind of do, you know, some really basic calls, you know, quack, feed, chuckle, but
Sure.
I definitely need to sit down at some point and learn some of those more technical, different types of calls
Yeah,
that you
and
have examples of.
they're fun to do. It's not they're super not necessary to kill ducks, but they don't necessarily impress the ducks, but they impress your buddies.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But one for sure that I've seen you have on there, you call it the Cajun squeal. I think is that what
Yep.
you call it?
Yep.
You want to go ahead and explain that one?
So yeah, I'll show you what the Cajun squeal sounds like. It's kind of a controversial note. So it's got that squeal at the end. So there's some guys that claim that a duck doesn't make that sound, but I think ducks make that sound. And even if ducks don't make that sound kills ducks. I can promise you. And so where that note comes from is, in theory, the ducks it's in with the feeding call. So they're feeding around, eating, whether they're south in the timber, filling up with acorns, or they're in the cornfield and they got their throat full of corn. They're quacking, but then at the end, all that corn is constricting it, and you get that squeal at the end. They don't get that clean ending. It squeals at the end.
It seems like to me that's the trendiest call in duck hunting over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know when I was learning duck calling, and I am not a very good duck caller, but you didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
The closest thing I kind of remember is like a lonesome hen, kind of. But over the last 2 or 3 years, it's like that's the call everyone wants to do.
That's
And
it.
it's like super trendy.
Yes, you can get on my YouTube and look at all the different tutorials, and the Cajun squeal video has 5 times as many views as the basic quack.
I can tell you, I have never ever heard a duck make that quack.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't work, because I'm sure it does, but I personally, now we don't hunt in fields where they might be filling up with corn or something like that, but in marshes or on rivers, I have never heard a duck make that noise.
It'd probably be hard to get their gillet full of microbials enough to make a squeal, though.
Yeah, or just like tiny little. We were hunting. This place that we were hunting was full of smartweed, and if you look down in the water, since the stuff was freshly flooded, I mean, these little seeds they're eating were really small, but they are so dense in this water that they were almost like clouds, right?
Yeah.
Top of a mallard, and all those little seeds were so compacted, so tight. The best way I can describe it is almost like a cork. I mean, they had absolutely filled their crop with this stuff, as packed down as you could possibly. It was really interesting. It was really cool. I should have taken a picture of it.
Yeah.
But the seed itself is like a poppy seed. I mean, they're like small.
Yeah.
Small.
So I guess getting back to that call, do you want to give us a quick, I mean, you don't have to go great detail, just, the brief summary of the Cajun squeal, because regardless of, it being trendy, I think it's kind of cool. So.
Oh, I do too. I think
you want to know like how to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So it's not super hard. What you do is, the way you got to think about it, how I describe it is, it's like a garden hose. You got your, you don't have any spigot on your garden hose, and the water's coming out, and then you put your thumb over the end of it, and now you have more pressure. There's not more water coming out, but now the pressure is greater. So at the end of my note, you can either pinch your throat together or pinch your lips together, and that pressurizes the call more, and it gets that squeal. So you almost chew on the call. Like, you start the note with your lips open and you end it with them real tight, and that adds pressure to it and gives you that squeal at the end.
Well, I'll have to try that, and probably not in air. Just save everybody's ears from that.
It's not super hard.
How often do you use that call when you're out hunting?
It kind of, I save it for last. We start out with simpler things. If those are going to work, then I go with that. But then, if, it gets to the, throw the kitchen sink at them phase, and it's, they've circled 6 times. All right, let's try that. And sometimes it really works, and other times it's, they don't want to be there, and they're going to go on no matter what.
Yeah. I've seen some guys on their YouTube videos. It's like, that's the only call that they use. It seems like it is a good sounding call.
So, kind of along the same lines, do you have any like tips or tricks when you have birds that are circling? I know you kind of said throw the kitchen sink at them, but like I know there's probably not one kind of catch-all call where you got birds working and they just don't seem to want to come in there. Is there something you do to call that, what's your go-to on that?
So when I have ducks circling the spread and we're hunting, I know this is different for every situation. We're hunting cornfields every single time. I don't know. We don't hunt the river. We don't hunt any marshes. We're only hunting cornfields. And that's just what we got. And so when we have ducks circling us, and the more ducks that are in the group, the more difficult it gets. But the main thing, opposed to, what sound to make, is when to make it. When we have ducks that are circling us real tight, you got to wait for them. I like to wait for them to get out further, like 80 to 100 yards, and then hit them with a comeback so when they turn, they have time to drop altitude so they can get in tighter on us.
Never heard it explained that way, but that makes sense.
If they're circling real close and I'm just, comeback call and comeback call and comeback call, they're just going to keep circling right above us. I want them, but they're high. I want them to get out farther and then hit them with a comeback so they have time to get down and get into the spread. So
for some of our newer waterfowl listeners, what are you technically, what are you referring to as the comeback call then?
So with a comeback call, it's basically anything faster or more aggressive than what I was doing previously. My favorite one, I just like to draw out like a 5-note greeting call, like really emphasize those first couple notes. Like, kind of like pleading at them at the beginning. And that 9 times out of 10, even if they're not going to commit, that'll turn them. And at least give you another chance at it.
Gotcha. Makes sense. So kind of talking about some of the hunting scenarios that you have. You said you only hunt cornfields?
Yeah, we're hunting corn 99.9% of the time.
Okay. So you said you don't have birds, or you don't have birds to hunt other type of terrain?
Yeah, we don't have. I mean, most of all the water that the birds are sitting on that we're hunting is in city limits. They're all roosting in town, and then we just got to follow them. Hopefully, as they're annexing more and more into city limits, we got to really hope that they cross that city limits barrier and get out into the county. But we just follow them off of the city ponds. There's a lot of gravel pits and tons of retention ponds in housing additions. We just got to follow them out to the corn.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if we said this or not at the beginning, but you're from Indiana as well, so I feel your pain on a lot of that.
Yeah.
I recently went down to Kansas to hunt with Elliot, and man, the amount of water they got and marshes and stuff is just like amazing.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
I watch all these videos of these guys hunting all this water in the rivers and stuff, and I'd love to buy a duck boat. I'd love to have a duck boat. I think they're the coolest things, but it would not ever get used.
Yeah, it can be rough, but I mean, field hunting is fun too.
Oh, I love it. That's the only thing I've ever done. It's the only thing I know.
So how much competition do you have for those fields out there? Is it heavy, or you get access pretty easily?
It depends. This year's been weird. Last year we had a lot of competition for fields. We had, we would have guys come in from, surrounding counties and stuff that we'd never seen before. Like we have, we have our group, and then there's a couple other groups of guys that's close to us, and we kind of know, like, okay, this is, we kind of stay out of each other's way. But last year, a couple groups of guys came in from, other places, and there was some competition for sure. But this year we haven't had any problems at all.
Do you have trouble getting permission at all? I've talked to some other people who hunt southern Indiana, and they say getting permission isn't really that bad.
No, we don't have too much of a problem with it because everybody that I hunt with, we've all grown up here, and our grandparents went to church with the farmers, and our parents went to school with the farmers, and it's you say, hey, this guy, he's my uncle, and oh yeah, I know your uncle, and so it kind of goes like that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's nice.
But we get plenty of no's too, but you just gotta knock on the doors. It's a numbers game.
What would you say your percentage is of the numbers game then?
60% yes.
Oh wow,
That's not bad.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Well,
we haven't really had to go seek out new permission for a few years, really, because the birds do the same thing every year. There's 3 fields that I'll bet you my truck that there's going to be birds in those 3 fields next year. And we've had those fields for years.
Mm-hmm. So does that make it easy to pattern, like where they're going to go in the fields and stuff like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much the same every year.
Gotcha. We got this one field that we got permission on, and man, it's been kicking our butt this year. It's got this marshy section, and it's got like a roost pond that's on private property, and then it's got another like marshy section that's on the property as well, and then another pond, and then a big field that they go out and feed. And like we're trying to pattern these birds, and we'll get on them, and they'll be using like the pond one day, and we'll be like, all right, well, let's we get it scouted out, get it patterned. But like, I mean, the weather's been really inconsistent this year, so maybe it's a bad
the weather plays a huge
sample
part
size.
in it.
Yeah. And then if they're just not doing the same thing. So anyways, we've been skunked on this place like 3 times, and like they just do exact opposite of whatever we choose. It doesn't matter if we scout 1 day, scout 2 days, and then go out there and try to figure it out. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So on those fields, man, you would think it's just easy to pattern, but not all the time.
Yeah, because I mean the time they feed and how long they feed, and if they're going to feed once or twice, it changes every day, and it's.
Yeah.
I try and keep notes in a logbook, and I think that I have it kind of figured out, and they just prove me wrong consistently.
Yeah. And then like in between the feed, are they going to go loaf at the one of the ponds, or the marsh, or the roost pond? And you never get it right, and you just like go out to the field, and they just go out and roost. And then, I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answer yet, but that field has been kicking our butt this year.
But if there's one thing I know, if it's going to snow or rain, you need to be in the corn.
Yeah. That's a good point right there, for sure. So you think kind of on that same line, do you think in the snow that they go out for shorter feeding spurts out in the field?
It depends. I don't know what it depends on. Sometimes they'll go out in the snow. I've seen them go out and feed, really hard for a half hour and then go back to the water. And I've also seen them, it starts snowing in the morning, and as soon as it starts snowing, they fly out in the field, and then they're in the field all day long. I don't know what dictates that. It's still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's almost like you need a backlog of that current flock's feeding pattern to know, like, oh, are they really hungry right now? They're going to feed all day, or there's so many things that go into it.
Yeah, I got a lot of notes, but they don't quite make sense just yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lifelong endeavor.
Yeah.
So I guess right now would probably be a good point to jump into the lightning round. But before we do that, a quick word about our partners, Lightsall. Me and Elliot both have been using Lightsall products this year, and headlamp has definitely come into handy. I'm not a big guy on knowing like the difference between lumens and all that. All I know is if flashlights are bright, and if they work good, and I can say for sure that this one is bright, and it works great. We've both had situations with it falling in the water, and it still works great. And the one pro I'd say on this headlamp that I'm a fan of is being able to go to the narrow beam.
I love the big radius beam when I'm trying to look at my decoy set. With these better flashlights, the things I really love about them is in the dark, you'll throw out your decoys and everything. It's like, man, I want to be able to see what it looks like. And with these huge radius beams, it really allows you to be able to check out your spread and make adjustments before the ducks make you make the adjustment.
Yep. All right, on to the lightning round. So the lightning round is quick questions with quick answers. Just helps us get a little bit of a grasp of what you are and who you are as a duck hunter or goose hunter. So, what kind of gun do you shoot?
Benelli Super Black Eagle 2.
That's too bad. What kind of ammo do you shoot?
It really depends. I like blindside quite a bit. I'll shoot anything, but I always tend to go back to blindside for whatever reason. Have no scientific data to back it up, but I just like it.
All right.
What size shell? What size shot?
I like ones. I like 3-inch one shot.
For ducks and geese?
Yeah, because we're always, in years past, I'd like to shoot 2s for ducks and double Bs for geese. And, here, we're working ducks and I got 2s in and here comes a flock of geese and I, try and get the 2s out and get the double Bs back in. And ones just work really good for everything.
kind of a side note. One of the guys I hunt with takes 2 guns with him. He takes a 10 gauge with with goose loads and a 12 gauge with duck loads.
Yeah, that's one way to combat it.
Yeah, that's one way. Were you gonna add something, Elliot?
I was just saying that my loads keep going. My shot size keeps going up and up. We finally switched to 6s for teal, 4s for right after teal, which are like gadwall and pintail. And I've been shooting 3s for ducks and 2s for geese this year. I'm really liking those 3s for ducks. Having a lot of success with
yeah.
them. What's blindside? What is that? That's not steel, is it? Or is it a mix?
No, it's steel.
Oh, it's straight steel. Okay.
Yeah, and
it's Winchester, right?
The square pellets. Yeah, it's Winchester.
It's the odd shaped pellets. You said is the ones that are
square. They're like cubes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think their pitches is supposed to be more traumatic to the bird when it enters them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what the speed is on those?
I have no idea.
I'm real big on speed on shells. I don't like to go anything below 1450.
I think they're pretty. I don't think I have a box of them in here. They're pretty fast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So you said 3-inch and those ducks and geese. What is your favorite terrain to hunt? We've already covered that one. You're a field hunter.
Cornfields.
Is that your favorite or only option? If you had an option between that and
I wouldn't say it's my favorite. And I really like to stand next to a tree in the flooded timber. I'm sure that would be my favorite, but it's just corn for us.
Yep.
Layout blinds or A-frames or?
We're using A-frames almost exclusively. That's been a switch we've made the last couple of years, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
You can get them in as close with A-frames as you can with layout blinds?
Absolutely.
Nice.
And do you, this is another hot topic we've been talking about and discussing, even amongst ourselves as hunters recently, but when you set up your A-frame, are you pushing it out, or do you have to stay next to like a fence line or some type of cover?
I'll take a fence line anytime I can get it, but I'm not afraid to put it in the middle of the field.
Awesome.
Because it's such a different concept than a layout blind. Like with the layout blind, you're trying to disappear in the field. With the A-frame, I'm not hiding. It's a bush. It's there. They know it's there. But you got to have the X over the top. Like when they fly over the A-frame and you just have the grass on the sides, because you know what I always tell guys is we're not hiding from deer. I don't care what it looks like to you when you're standing, 20 yards out looking at it. It matters what it looks like above. And you get that, 2 foot wide strip all the way down the middle that you can look into, and it's just black. And so what we do is those, I don't even know what you call them. They're on golf courses and stuff. The big tall bushes, and then they die and they burn them at the end of the year. And we go cut all those down and zip tie them into little bundles, and they're like 5 feet tall. And we have just bunches of them, and we stick them in all the straps and make an X with them. So the ones in the front go past the front, the ones in the back, it does like this. And so there's no black hole down inside of it. And that is key.
So I'm kind of asking for myself now, because we've been, hunting out of A-frames and all that kind of stuff. But as far as when you hunt, because we debate this stuff between ourselves when we're, discussing how we're going to hunt, how we're going to hide, and, we're going to set our A-frame up this way. Or so one of our fields we hunt is got green, I think it's winter wheat, And so, normally like a cornfield or something like that, or a picked cornfield, or even a plowed cornfield, having that type of brown kind of cover, how you're saying, coming over the top. But we feel like, it may stick out too much, having something that brown and something green. Would you be weary about that, or would you still say, no, that looks like a bush and it's in green?
No, I'm
fine.
not, because you're not trying to blend in with the ground. You're a bush.
Okay. That makes sense for sure.
I wouldn't be afraid of it at all.
Okay. Cool.
Let me get my question in, because this A-frame thing has been a topic all year long, and this is the first year that I've started using an A-frame, and the times that we've used an A-frame, we pulled it into a marsh once, and we used it at a lake a couple times. So we've got this pond, and it's grazed by cattle, so everything's chewed down, right?
Yeah.
And these geese, it's pretty close to a city, so these geese are really used to going into the same spot. So we're going to hunt it Saturday, and we can either do layouts or A-frames. And everyone's saying, man, the thought of just putting a box A-frame on the shoreline of that pond when it's completely chewed down grass, I just can't bring myself to do it.
I know. You should try it. I think you'll be surprised. Brush it in enough, keep your head down, and I think you'll be surprised.
We will try it. We're easing ourselves into it.
Yeah, it took us a long time to, it took a lot of convincing. Everybody like, let's stick this in the middle of the field. You guys are nuts.
Yeah.
But and what I've found is the more of them you have, we started with one, and now we have three of them, and we put them end to end. So you can, we're using the AVNX A-frames, and they advertise you can put 4 guys in one of them. But I mean, you could get 4 guys in one of them, but 3 is, comfortable and safe. 4 is cramped. So we get 3 of them, in theory, you can get 12 guys out there, but we put 3 out there, even when we're just hunting, 6 or 7 guys. Because I think the more obvious it is, the geese are like that. Those aren't hunters. I mean, that's so blatantly obvious that they're not trying to hide that I think it just reverse psychology, and they just don't care.
That's a great point that I haven't heard anyone bring up, because my thought is like, okay, if I'm in my layout boat, totally brushed in a marsh, but yet I don't have adequate surrounding brush or vegetation, the ducks don't like it. You have to have smartweed or whatever around it to blend into. Out by itself, it just doesn't work properly, no matter how brushed that I get it. But so my thought is, well, the A-frame should be that times 20, right? But just making it look like a huge bush.
I think it's so in the other direction that they're just like, that's, those aren't hunters. And I think we're going to get to a point where, 10 years ago, layout blinds were the thing. You didn't even have to brush your layout blind in, you had geese landing on you. And then, now they're picking them out. And I think we're going to get to that point with A-frames where you're going to go back to a layout blind, and they're going to be just stupid to the layout blinds, and the A-frames aren't going to work as well. But we're not there yet. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but that's the way I see it.
Well, that's the general consensus. I've yet to hear anyone say, no, it just won't work like that. I haven't heard any. Have you, Jordan? I haven't heard anyone say that.
No, everybody we talked to about A-frames just, they say they switched recently and they love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get to sit on a bucket. You don't have to lay down. It's it's awesome.
Yeah.
And shameless plug, the A-frames that we use is the HTR Innovation plugs. HTR Innovation blinds.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you guys gonna have those at Indy this year?
Yes, we will.
Perfect. Have to check those out.
Awesome. So I think we were on the lightning round. We definitely derailed pretty hard there.
Yeah, that was.
That's all right. It was a good
was
conversation.
Good stuff.
So that's the point of the lightning round. Spur some kind of topics up. But anyways, if I can remember where we're at, face paint or no face paint, or face paint or face mask?
No face paint.
No face paint. Is that just the A-frame hiding you, or?
Yeah, it just takes too long to get off.
Let me jump in on this, because this has been something, and I've even seen you do it a little bit, Jordan. I don't understand this new face paint trend to have one little line here, one little line there. That's not face paint. That's makeup.
Yeah, if I'm putting on face paint, I'm going, all in Vietnam style.
Everyone is doing that. Everyone. I saw it on Doc. I couldn't believe it. Dr. Duck had it on that four duck thing. It's like if you just put one little stripe, that's worthless.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Football Man?
Yeah, but that's refracting the light. The reason they do that is because it's so bright. It's totally. I just don't get this new. You know, I think that Hardy Face Paint started that. Is what I think it came from.
Probably. You see, like the little thing it comes in. It has like a little line. So I mean,
you got
I
a
love
beautiful
Hardy
blonde and little tiny strips of black.
I love Hardy Face Paint, so I'm not saying anything
I do
negative
too.
towards him, but
Yeah, but a lot of their pictures are like that.
yeah, I got a comment in one of my videos recently. I think how do you phrase it? He put like asterisks, and he said covers 3% of his face with face paint for concealment. That's the whole comment. I was like, dang it. And I replied to him like, yeah, but it looks cool. And so I'm not afraid to say it. I mean, I do it partially because it looks cool.
But the way you did it last year, you covered a lot more of your face.
Well, you're right. I should get back to the roots.
The bright off your face is seriously a duck detractant.
Yeah.
And so I'm cool with people decorating it up, but you've got to conceal most of that pinkish glare.
Yeah.
I just don't have that much real estate left after my beard, man. It's just
And beard helps.
yeah, for sure.
But if you're wearing your hat backwards like that, you got your whole forehead.
What are you saying? I got a big forehead?
No, I'm just saying the way it's pick apart Jordan time.
All right. Moving on. Man, I'm losing track of this lightning round fast. Anything else I'm missing, Elliot?
Choke tube.
What kind of choke you use?
Pattern Master full. I'm a full
All right.
choke guy.
Man, you're hitting all of our controversial
I know.
topics tonight.
You want to defend your use of a full choke?
I've just always used a full choke. I don't know. It reaches out there and gets them.
Yeah.
So how far shots do you take?
I mean, I like them to be 30, 40 yards.
Yep.
I mean, try and not stretch it out much past that. I know, a modified choke would be just fine, but I don't know. The full choke just has my name on it.
Well, if
Yeah.
you're stretching past 40, you don't want a modified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, man, I'm trying to think of anything else. So I think that pretty much covers the lightning round. I'm sure with the derailing, I lost the order of it, but that's fine. We got into some interesting topics.
Sure.
But one question we kind of been asking people here recently, kind of adding on to the lightning round is, what's your most memorable hunt you've been on?
Oh, most memorable. There's a lot of them. Probably, I mean, I remember shooting my first goose like it was yesterday. And I mean, it wasn't super memorable at the time. I was very young, but looking back, that was probably my most memorable hunt. And, we did things a lot different back then. How many years ago was that? That was probably 15 years ago. And, we just had a small, we hunted the same field every single day. We put our spread out when season opened, and the decoy stayed in the field the entire season. I have a full bag that I still have today of green headgear mallards, full body mallards, and the hens are like bright pink because they were out in the sun so long. And we would just, they didn't even want to feed there most of the time. They were just flying over the fence row, and we pass shot them. And that was I killed my first goose standing in a fence row and shooting into a group of geese. There was a section of the fence row that was cut out, and they'd fly right through that little cutout, and that was how we did it.
Nice. Yeah, sometimes those hunts are, the best ones looking back on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So no blind at all, just standing in the brush?
Nope, just standing in the fence row.
Good deal.
We do have a couple questions off the comment section if you want to.
Sure, yeah, let's hit up some of those.
Red Twig says, have you guys ever heard of a bouncing hen call, and have you heard it in the field or on the water? What is a bouncing hen?
Bouncing hen. This is the bouncing hen. got kind of that hiccup at the end.
Okay.
That's another controversial note. It's cool for your buddies. Do the ducks do it? I don't know, but I throw it in there. It's kind of on the same playing field. The Cajun squeal. It just adds a little bounce at the end of each note.
Can you hear it one more time? Okay. I feel like I've heard that out in the field.
And the Pines guy asked, do you guys ever see wood ducks around your area? In Minnesota, that's all they see early season.
That's a no for me.
No wood ducks? No, yeah, I've never really seen, I guess I've seen on TV shows where wood ducks have come into fields, but I've never personally seen a wood duck in a cornfield when I was hunting.
No, we don't. I mean, if we do hunt the river early, we used to, when we were younger, we used to hunt the river a little bit, and we'd get into wood ducks there, but haven't shot a wood duck for years.
Do you guys shoot widgeon, gadwall, pintails at all?
We'll get about one widgeon and one pintail a year.
Okay. No gadwall?
No, we haven't shot anything except for mallards this year.
Okay.
See, that's pretty similar to us as well.
Yeah, it's very rare we see anything but a mallard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan was saying the same thing, and he came down to Kansas, shot his first gadwall. He was pretty happy. Shot his first shoot.
It's awesome. I talk to guys on Instagram and stuff that are from other states, and they're like, "Man, you guys kill all these greenheads. That's awesome." And they're like, they have flocks of hundreds of pintail, and they're letting the pintail land because they see one greenhead up there. I'm like, you got your minds.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
yeah,
way.
pintail is my bucket list beyond any other duck. And I've never seen one in our area.
We saw last year. It was weird. We had one hunt. We had a flock of like 50 of them. It was just all pintails, and they didn't want anything to do with us. But we ended up. I think we killed one or two of them last year, and then a few years prior to that, we killed two. But then, they're very, very sparse.
Yeah, even here down in Kansas, I only kill somewhere between 2 and 5 a year.
Yeah.
Tops. We've been seeing a ton more lately, but they're hard birds to get into your set.
Yeah.
But you haven't killed any yet this year, have you, Elliot?
I have not killed a single. I split on one hen with Aiden, but other than that, no. And then Aiden killed that drake. But no, this has been a poor year for killing pintails for us.
Probably due to the migration or lack thereof.
Yeah, maybe so.
So how much longer do you guys have down there in southern Indiana for your duck season?
Sunday.
Okay, are you in the central zone?
Yeah, we're in the central zone. Our duck goes out on Sunday. Geese stays in until like February 12th, I think.
Okay, that's the same as us, except for our duck's been out since the 30th of December, which really stinks. All the ducks showed up today.
Yeah, I wanted to get a chance to go out and scout today because, it dropped. Yesterday morning it was like 55, and this morning it was 25. And we had a strong north wind all night, so I assumed that pushed some birds down to us, but I didn't get a chance to get today.
Well, it was a north wind all today as well. Yeah. And up here further north, we got some snow too, so that that's gonna get the birds moving for sure.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing everybody saying the migration's finally here, but I'm like, my duck season's over.
Yeah, that's how it happens every year.
Yeah. I think this year's a little worse than normal.
Yeah, it's been rough. Like I said, we got a good push of birds at like the beginning of December, and they hung around for a few weeks, and we got some really good hunts in, and we scattered them one evening, went to set up the next morning, and they were gone.
Yep. Yeah, and I can say it's kind of interesting seeing that or hearing that from you, but a little further, north than you, up here, we got a freeze around then. And so that's where all our ducks went.
Yeah, they came down to us. We froze up a little bit, but the big bodies of water that they roost on stayed open.
Yeah, so we got that freeze, and then we never got a new push. So, Yeah, I guess. Oh, excuse me. I guess from here, go ahead and let people know where they can find you on social media.
Oh God. So Instagram. So it's, just JT call. It's JT_calls on Instagram. Facebook is just JT calls. Do quite a bit on Snapchat. My Snapchat username is Jake Teal. www.jtcalls.com, and then we have the JT Calls YouTube channel.
Awesome. And any other big plans you want to tell us about before we sign off for this year?
Nothing too big. We're gonna be at the Indy show. We're gonna probably do the Ohio show. I've inquired about the Dixie Deer Classic in Raleigh, North Carolina, so we'll see. Waiting to hear back from them. I'm really cutting back on the amount of shows this year. In the past we've done 6 or 7 shows a year, and it gets a little bit overwhelming.
I bet.
Have you guys been to the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania show, the Great American Outdoor Show?
I have not. I've looked into it. We thought about doing that one as well this year, but it's like what, 2 weeks long or something crazy?
Yeah, it's 9 days. It's a grind.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was wild. I mean, they're trying to tell me that the building is going to be packed on a Tuesday. I'm like, you guys are crazy. But they canceled school. They were busing kids from schools in. It was a wild show, but 9 days was a long time.
Yeah, I bet. All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and make sure everybody to go check them out over there. One thing I will add, you've started putting up some YouTube hunt videos, and I've enjoyed those, so make sure to check him out on YouTube as well, guys. Anything else you want to add, Elliot?
Nope, just appreciate you coming on and talking with us.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me, guys. It's been fun.
Awesome. And so real quick, make sure guys drop over to iTunes and give us a review. Couldn't do without you. We really appreciate the community and your support. But that's all we got for tonight. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and Jake from JT Calls, and we'll see you guys next time. What's going on, folks? I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host Graybeard Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we're here for another weekly hunt update. How you doing, Elliot?
I'm doing good. I only have one hunt on this one, but it was a decent hunt. That was fun.
Awesome. I actually only have one. This will be one of our least updatable episodes, I guess.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that long of a podcast, I guess, but I had a blast on my hunt. I did an absolute blast.
Awesome. Well,
hold on. Did I talk last week about the river hunt with the boys? I think.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Is that your hunt?
No. I've got a pond.
Oh.
We went back to Corn's Pond, which is where we're going again Saturday. So.
All right, this is out of your element, man. Hunting all these ponds this year.
I know. I'm really, man. This pond that Corn had, actually, his father-in-law owns it, and he's been telling me he's going to try to get permission on it for about 3 years. And I know where it's located. I've kept telling him, I was like, I guarantee you there's going to be geese there because it's just outside of city limits, and there's a city lake. It's a big pond, city lake, and it's always full of geese. Always. And I'm like, dude, listen, this place is going to be loaded with geese. You got it. So finally he got around to getting permission in 3 hunts. Before the last hunt, I was averaging 8 birds a hunt there. And now after last hunt, I'm still averaging like 6.5 in 3 hunts. So it's a great place. It's a great place.
Awesome. So I know you said in the past, like you like the experience of the hunt, you like the hustle, like having to get out there and work hard, but it's kind of, for you, it's just super easy to get on these pond hunts. Has that diminished your joy of the hunt at all, or?
Last hunt, I have thoroughly enjoyed these hunts here, but I would never ever want to only hunt places like that.
Mm-hmm.
I put out that video called Full Immersion, where you just feel like you're completely immersed in a natural environment and you feel like there's no one else around for miles and miles. And you're just completely impacted in nature. And you can never, ever get that feeling at this type of pond, where it's on a farm. It's not that far outside of town, but I thoroughly enjoy having those places. Cause like this last night, we finally got a key to the place. So we drove the truck right in, like to the pond edge, and just threw everything out. And that was really, really nice. It was really nice not have to be so physically demanding and dragging boats through the woods and, running upriver. So it was, it's the best of both worlds, when you want a softer hunt versus when you want to really get at it.
I would say later in the season, the more enjoyable these hunts gets, because by the end of the season, grinding away, if you're hunting 3 times a week or, more or less, whatever, just by the end of the season, you're getting worn down. And like, if you can get a hunt like that where you can just pull up and unload your stuff, you're like, man.
Yeah, big time. But see, so this Saturday, I've got a friend that moved away that I used to hunt with a lot, and he's coming back to town. He's Corn and this guy named Tyler and myself. We used to hang out together during my college days and hunt and everything, and haven't seen Tyler forever. So Corn's like, Tyler wants to come hunt with us Saturday. Let's go to hunt the pond. And I definitely want to hunt with Tyler, but my heart is really out chasing ducks. I've been looking on Google Maps to this place down in the south where duck hunting's still open. I got my eye on this spot. It's going to be one of those, take the kayak in, portage the kayak up over a dike, back into the water, get up at 2:00 in the morning. It's going to be like one of those real demanding hunts. And even though I really want to hunt with Tyler and I wouldn't miss it for the world, my heart is going out there at 2 a.m. and busting my butt to get into this little spot I've never hunted before. I gotta say.
Yeah.
But
there's something about hunting new spots too. There's just a certain allure to it, like just going somewhere you just got to know, and getting on the adventure. And like you said, I mean, having to go through all that, I mean, that's definitely an adventure.
Yeah. Even like when you were up here and we put on the lake, just the two of us early in the morning, they're shooting stars flying all over the place. We're kicking up over logs in the dark. It's
that part was a little bit too much of an adventure when we're hitting logs. And I'm like, the next one's tipping us over. That's not my kind of adventure. I'm
But
here to
it is an
live.
adventure. It
Yeah,
is
it
an
was.
adventure.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I'm just giving it. No, that was awesome for sure. Just giving it a little bit of a tough time with the logs. I could do without the logs.
Well, I could too, and I could too, but we're safer than you felt.
That's reassuring.
I don't like them either. But so I keep watching the weather for when you're going to be up here on the weekend, and man, I'm just praying for warm weather on this one. Just praying for warm weather because we're right at that in between where we will either be dragging our boats to the woods where we've been shooting all those limits of mallards, or we'll probably be back where we were day one with you, which I love that spot. It's a great place. But I'm just praying that we can take the boat up the river, offload the kayaks, drag them through the woods, or maybe even get the A-frame in there. I really want you to get in a hunt at that spot because it's just a different location. And so every day I'm watching the 10-day forecast. And like one day it'll be like, okay, it's going to be ice free. It's going to be ice free. And then like today, the predicted temperatures dropped like 5 degrees. So I'm like, oh no, ice. So I'm like watching them every single day. Just fingers crossed.
Yeah. I took a look at it as well, and it, 10-day forecast, it's looking like it's 40s in the afternoons and 25 like in the morning. I'm like, man, that's like the worst because you don't know whether it's gonna freeze or not. Like, and that's where it's like on a knife's edge. Like the wind could change it, or like having sun in the afternoon, and it's just it's hard to pattern the birds. And
I think my dad will be able to scout the 2 days before though, which will really help.
Nice.
Greatly.
And also, I won't be having to cut out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because, last time we would have been able to jump in the marsh and shoot limits or whatever with Aiden.
Yeah. So I consider you such a friend that if the Chiefs are in, if the Chiefs win this weekend, right?
But they won't be. They're playing the Colts.
They're playing the Colts. You're a Colts fan, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm a fair weather fan. Like, I hadn't watched them in a long time, and they started just smoking it this year. 9 games in a row and getting into the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, Colts.
We'll just realize that one of us is probably going to have to miss the AFC Championship game, depending on when it is.
That's all right. I got a YouTube TV. We'll just put it right up there on my phone in full immersion all the way.
That would be cool. One of our teams is going to be playing for a chance to go to the Super Bowl the day we're out hunting. Maybe it'll be like a 7:00 game or something.
Well, I think the last time the Colts played the Chiefs, they won by 1 point. So, just saying.
Yeah. Do you remember the playoff game where the Chiefs were beating the Colts like 32-7 or something in the playoffs, and the Colts came screaming back to beat them?
It was probably Peyton Manning era, right?
Was that Peyton Manning? That might actually have been Luck right at the beginning of his career. That was only like about 5 years ago.
Huh. Well, then it probably was Luck. Yeah, I don't remember that game.
It was like the biggest comeback in I think the second biggest comeback or the first biggest comeback in playoff history. The low point of my NFL fandom career. And with being a Chiefs fan, we've had lots of low points.
Wow.
There's another game against the Colts where here at Kansas City where our field goal kicker missed 3 field goals and we lost 9-6.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first for us on the Duck Gun podcast, going off on tangents about football.
Yeah, I know. I am a lifelong Chiefs fan. As a kid, I watched all the games, but it came to a point where I love duck hunting so much. Like this Saturday, the Chiefs play at 3, and I'm thinking, no one's going to be in the marshes. They're all going to be watching the game. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can hit that pond in the morning. And I know I can talk Golden Boy into it. And then Golden Boy and I will run out and hit duck hunt in the afternoon when no one will be there because of the game.
Nice.
That may be
there you go. That's a good plan.
Yeah. That may be.
And a good transition back into duck hunting.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell my hunt or you got yours or what?
Yeah, you go ahead first.
Okay. So the river hunt, which I just released on Monday, I released them out of order. So the hunt I'm going to talk about actually posted last Thursday. It was on January 1st. I had such an enjoyable afternoon that I just was so motivated to edit that I put that video out Thursday on YouTube, Freelance Duck Hunting. And then I edited the river hunt and put it out on Monday because I did not have a very enjoyable time. And it really wasn't all that dependent on. I've had lots of fun hunts, so we've only shot 1 duck. I just didn't have a fun time on this hunt. My boys were all muddy. I didn't feel like they really wanted to be there. That was like, dealing with their lack of desire, lack of fire. They all three of my boys duck hunt, but I don't think any of them have the fire. You know what I'm saying?
Well, kind of to interject on that, I don't want to go too off tangent, but I definitely didn't have the fire till my a later age than what they're at. So there's still a chance. Anyways, continue with your story.
Well, it's just like with your hunting dog. You take your hunting dog out on their first several hunts and they're terrible and you're feeling like, oh, they're going to suck for the rest of their lives, right? Dude, relax. It's their first few hunts. They're going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so I did post these videos out of order. Have you watched the video? It's like hunting with corn in the afternoon or something with that pond hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we only had geese to hunt because duck hunting had closed down in this region, and we were thinking about traveling down to duck hunt, but it was an hour and a half. We didn't really want to do it. So we're like, okay, we're gonna hunt Corn's Pond is what we're naming this place. And so the night before or the day before, Corn's talking to the farmer, and he's like, oh, my son and his crew is going to be out there in the morning. Well, they normally go out there with like 7 guys. It's like one of those young college kid, 100 million guys type of thing. And
why don't you tell us how you really feel?
If people want to hunt 7, it's fine. I just personally don't enjoy it. I don't chastise. I mean, I do feel like it's more of a 20-year-old college kid, younger guy's game to hunt that many people. Field hunting I exclude field hunting from that. And I especially exclude snow goose hunting from that. Because if I'm snow goose hunting, I want 6 or 7 people, because if you're putting up 5,000 decoys, you don't want to be with you and your buddy. But and I do exclude field hunting from that a little bit. But anyway, so we're like, oh, crap, they're going to be in there all morning. So we look at our other options. Golden Boy Scouts a couple places, and it comes down to, it's like, this is basically our only option, is to either hunt this place, because I wasn't going to get up real early and go clear down to where we needed to go to hunt ducks. And so we're like, look, let's just go ahead and try it. It's just going to be Golden Boy and Corn and myself. We're going to roll in there about noon, and it's going to be relaxing. Whatever is fine. So we got there at noon, and the farmer's kid and all his friends are still in there. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. So now what do we do? Because they said they were going to be done late morning. And I'd say noon is definitely late morning. 12:01 is no longer 12 is no longer morning. So we actually just decided to go out and have lunch at this place because we're pretty close to this town. Corn texted the farmer, and he's like, yeah, they're coming out. He said they didn't do very well. They shot 12. I'm like, oh, that seems like pretty well to me. I've never shot 12 geese and said I didn't do very well. But that goes to show you how much this pond actually produces, that they're shooting 12 and saying that they didn't do very well. So we're like, you know what? Number one, we've got the key and we can just drive right in there, almost no effort whatsoever. So we'll just go in there and kind of play it by ear and see if we can decoy a couple groups of geese. We'll be happy. So we get in there, and we didn't have the A-frame with us because I had left it in the boat and my dad had it. So Aiden had his layout blind. I brought in my Ascend H12 with my redhead blind attachment because that's really brushed perfect color-wise for what we're in. And then we used the HTR, what's the name of that? The ground pad? What's the actual name of that?
Layout Lounge.
Yeah, the Layout Lounge. We used that, and we just used grass mats over it, which was the first time we had used it. Every time I'd used that thing, which honestly, I am absolutely in love with that thing for my layout boat. I'm absolutely in love with it. The thing is so comfortable. The way it works in a layout boat or my kayak is you can actually adjust the angle of the layout pad. So if it's early morning, you can basically sit straight up. You can bring it back down and lay all the way out in it. I mean, it is so comfortable for my layout boat. But that's the first time we've actually tried it just laying on the ground. So we put Corn on the ground under that thing and threw grass mats on top of him. And we were set up by about 1:50, 2 o'clock, I think. And we waited no more than like 10, 15 minutes. And here comes some geese. They came in, they circled around, 2 birds dropped out of it. And I've really been struggling. I really struggled on my shot calling because I'm the one that calls the shot for us on this day, because I kept getting stuck between do we take the birds we have in front of us, or do we let them land and continue to work the group? So we had 2 birds just come right over from left to right, and Corn's on my left, I'm in the middle, and Aiden was on the right, and Aiden was starting with the video camera. So they came right over top of me, and I just wasn't sure what to do. And I whispered Aiden, I was like, should I take him? And Aiden's like, yeah, take him. So by the time I called the shot, Corn didn't even have a shot anymore because they're off to my right.
Mm.
I doubled on those birds. But we had a long discussion about just like, okay, we've got these 2 here, but there's 20 others. Now, the 20 others was not setting its wing and coming right in. If they were going to come in, they were going to have to take a whole nother circle around. And I'm kind of feeling like in this situation, where you've got 2 birds that are doing it and the whole other group of geese is going to have to completely take another circle around, I think I would rather take those 2. If those 2 are landing and the ones behind it are locked and it looks like they're going to come right in, then I'm perfectly happy to wait. So we took those 2. Anyway, we from 2 to 240, we ended up shooting about 4. Then it was pretty dead until right at 4:30. The birds started working again, and we killed another 4 birds from 4:30 until right about 5. But the decoy passes that we had, they were good. They were good quality shots, really quality shots, 20, 25, 30 yards. But they weren't, it's like, I think they might've been seeing, maybe they were seeing Corn because Aiden and I, or they were seeing Jeff, to make sure it's clear. I call him Corn. Because Aiden and I were in layouts that completely covered us all together, right? Mm-hmm. Where Jeff had with those grass mats up on the layout lounge, he still had, from his chest to the top of his head exposed, and his face, he had some kind of face mask on, but I just think he wasn't fully as concealed as we were. So maybe that's what it was. But they would come just like they were going to land and then drift a little bit. So they weren't quite landing in the pocket. But I think we basically killed everything that we shot at. We didn't have anything bigger than a group of 3. And sometimes they would come in high. We had one that was really cool. This whole group of about 50. And I got really good footage of this one. I thought we got really good footage of everything, honestly, on this. But this one group came up real high, and one goose circled out of that group, circled back, did one circle, and just dropped straight down in with its wings set. And that is so much fun when that happens, and those geese will do that. And Foul Chasers on here on the YouTube chat actually is asking about the Goose News call. Is it easy to use? I got 2 calls from Hunter's Hall, both of them lynch mob calls, and both of the goose calls I find very easy to use. I'm not much of a goose caller. It's something I'm really need to improve on. I just have never even tried to become one. So while we're out there, Aiden was actually talking to me about it and giving me some pointers and stuff. So Aiden was still doing most of the calling, but we ended up with eight geese and just laying. I don't get to hunt with Corn very often. He hunts about 4 or 5 times a year. And how easy that hunt was. And after the river hunt, I didn't have a good time at all. Just laying there with my 2 buddies for an afternoon hunt, so easy. I had the most relaxed, enjoyable time. We each shot a couple. I shot 2. I think both of them shot 3 each. It was just a relaxing, fantastically fun time. Honestly, it was great.
Awesome.
And we used the White Rocks again. I'm continue to be really thrilled with the White Rock silhouettes and socks. And this is the first time we actually had a nice little wind with them. And we've all 3 times we've hunted this pond, we've used those White Rock socks and silhouettes. And the geese love them. I don't know what the difference would be if we had full bodies or not, but we have those 7-8 dozen out mostly on the bank where the geese have been sitting, and those geese love them. They love those White Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was something. We're gonna hunt that again this Saturday. So we'll see. We'll see if the birds are back in there. It hasn't been hunted since the 1st, so it's gonna have had like 10 or 11 days off from being hunted. So
well, you actually shot more birds per person than that group of 7 before you, right?
Yeah, yeah, we did. So, but we didn't hardly see any ducks. But it wasn't duck season. But it was surprising we didn't see any ducks.
They must know it's not season. So
Yeah. Well, normally they come flooding in when it's not season.
yeah, that's true. Yep. Kind of a side note, on those HTR layout pads, do you know that HTR has a blanket that can attach to the bottom of it? I don't know if you look at the bottom of those pads, it's got a Velcro. Is that the right word? Yeah, Velcro strip, where the blanket can attach that, and you can get a blanket that goes over top with stubble straps, and then it
Really?
just doubles as your actual field layout blind. So
No, is this a new product?
no, it's part of it. It's just another use for them. It's kind of the original use for them, but it's also
But
they
that does
double
not
as
come. Does that come with the layout pad purchase?
no. So if you buy a layout pad, there's just two different ways you can buy it. You can buy it just as a layout pad, or you can buy it with a layout pad with a blanket,
Okay.
or
So
you can buy just a blanket.
how does the blanket work exactly?
So on the bottom of it, if you flip yours over, you'll notice there's a black strip of Velcro,
Uh-huh.
and then your blanket would have a black strip of Velcro on the inside of it. So it kind of rolls under it and attaches to that. And then it comes all the way up. And it's got extra because a lot of times your feet hang off the end of that pad unless you're kind of short.
Yeah.
And so the blanket would go out further than that. And it wraps up all the way up, and you can hold it up, right on top of you instead of using your mats, whatever you used, your brush mat, which those works, and those works, and so do the sacks. What are those called?
I don't know.
What do people use? I don't know what I'm trying to think of. I can't think of the word. Come on, Elliot, throw me a bone.
I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm not gonna get it.
Dang it. Sackcloth? No, I don't know. Anyways, you can use other stuff as well, but that's another option for that pad, is having that blanket cover, and that's kind of the original use for it.
So is the idea to pull that completely up over under your chin?
Yeah, so it's
Or-
like almost like a sleeping bag once you attach it to it, except for the sides are open. So,
Okay.
but it lays down on top. It's a blanket that's wide enough that it lays. It's wider than the actual layout pad,
Uh-huh.
and so you lay on the pad. With your feet all the way down. The blanket comes up, attached to the bottom of it, and over your feet all the way up to your chin. And it's got stubble straps all along it, so you can put your corn stubble if you're in a cornfield, or the brush, whatever brush you'd brush in your layout boat, that's sitting on the side of the water there. It's just just another option.
Yeah. So if you're going to use those, do you keep your gun under it? You think the problem I have with we used to use mats. We used grass mats at first. Then we made our own raffia mats. And the problem that I had using those is I never felt comfortable having them, not having my arms over top of them. So then you have from the top of your head to basically your under your armpits exposed, and that's too much to have exposed. So you would pull it up just under your chin and then have your gun and everything underneath it.
So
And then as you sit up,
the way I've done it is I keep my gun on top, and I'll keep like one arm out, so my arm can go out the side of the blanket and wrap around it, and it's just on top of it. I got my gun, like pretty much my trigger finger on the gun, holding the grip, with it sitting on top of the blanket, and then the other hand on the blanket. So then when we say take them and sit up, I pull the gun off the blanket and pull the blanket up and sit up, and you just kind of one motion, and then with my other, getting shoulder the gun and take the shot.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Do they have white in that? I'm curious.
They don't right now, but they will.
Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that. That's a nice feature. Saturday, I think we're taking out my kayak, with the redhead blind attachment, and then we are gonna have 2 layout blinds. So we're gonna go 3 guys laying out there, looking where the wind is, unless we can all hide in the trees, and then 2 guys kind of hiding under a tree filming. Is the way we're gonna do it. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm certainly interested in trying to get a hold of one of those. And Chase said it's called a feed sack, what you were talking about.
Okay, yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's that kind of feed sack or any kind of the sacks people use to hide out in.
Yeah, well, like I said, those layout pads, I can't name with names. What's the name again of it?
Layout lounge.
Layout Lounge. Certainly a quality product. Certainly what I love having is like I've accumulated enough duck hunting stuff that some of it like we've gone all year and haven't yet used our tarps, but we have them there. I love being as versatile as humanly possible. So
Mhm.
it's like you may not use something for 3 years, but when you need it, you're shooting more ducks because you've got it. The layout lounge is like that. Our tarps are like that. Our layout blinds, like this layout blind, my dad's bringing his layout blind for this Saturday. We haven't used that for 3 years, but now that we need it, boom, there it is. I love being versatile like that.
Yeah, totally agree.
It's just costly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
But over years you just start accumulating. It's a little bit here, a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the whole goal, and I don't hear people talk about this that much, is being so versatile that you've got a little bit of what you need for every situation.
Yeah. Yes, the worst when you see birds, you find them, you find the X, and you're like, oh, we can't hunt that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the next big purchase for me needs to be a deck boat, but that's going to be a long time away because also I need a truck with a hitch.
Yeah. Yeah. My next that I'm looking for is the Momarsh dog piece, like you've got the dog blind.
Yeah, those are nice.
I don't know because those things don't fold down that small. So if I'm going to be using mine, dragging stuff, because when I imagine using mine, it's either going to be at the lake, which I could use no problem there. But when we're talking like portaging in a kayak, man, once you start portaging, dragging boats and dragging A-frames and stuff, you get over your head with the amount of crap you're trying to drag real fast.
Yeah.
But I certainly need one of those.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to my hunt. So my hunt was actually today. We went out on a goose hunt. We kind of finally had a big weather push. If you guys listen to the next podcast, you'll hear JT talking about the weather change we had in Indiana. Big weather change from 50 to 20 degrees. It was 22 and like 18 miles per hour wind. So we go out there, goose hunt, and first thing that went wrong was the geese were actually roosting where we wanted to hunt. So I mean,
what time did you get there?
First light.
Okay, so you were there at the light, not
before, yeah. But
okay, so what'd you guys decide to do with that?
Jump them off.
Yeah.
So, I ended up shooting one. We jumped them off there, and we had some come right overhead of me, and I popped one shot, killed one. Mm-hmm. And then that was that. So then, like I said, it was like 1,000 geese. So it was, just windy, and I mean, it was a snowstorm, like just big snowflakes. Honestly, like my favorite conditions to hunt.
It's the pond.
It's the field I was talking about. The last one where it's got it's got a big pond. Mm-hmm. That's on private. Then it's got a marsh, and then it's got another pond, and then fields. Gotcha. And we can hunt all that besides the private pond. And it's a big pond. I almost feel like it needs another name because it's
small lake.
Maybe not a small lake, but it's hard to classify water. But anyways, so. But honestly, one of our biggest, I think, issues with the spot is they have so many options of what they're gonna do. And because we've scouted it, we've gone every time we hunt this, it's something wrong. And it's embarrassing almost to say, but I mean, it's just part of hunting, for sure. And we're gonna, figure out this place eventually, but it's not gonna be this year. And because they seem to do the opposite of whatever we do. But anyways.
Maybe you should go 2 groups in there because you guys only have 4 or 5 guys. Maybe you should split up.
Yeah, normally we have 4 guys as our normal. We have 3 or 4 as our normal size.
Just think if Hunter filmed and you filmed, that would be a cool video of going back from spot to spot. That'd be neat.
Yeah, it'd be worth it until one group gets all the birds and
then the other group runs over there.
Yeah. We've definitely talked about doing stuff like that. Yeah. So anyways, we'd scouted out the day before, had our game plan. They're using this big marsh and the pond, both of them. So that's what we thought we'd do. But it just didn't work out. They didn't decoy in there.
They never came back?
No. I mean, they all went out to feed, and then they'd go to the pond on private, and none of them decoyed in either of those two, the marsh or the pond. And we sat there for 3.5 hours in the morning, just watching them jump from that pond out to feed, that private pond out to feed, that private pond out to feed. And so kind of like, I mean, they're taking a low path from that pond, the private pond, and out to the field. And they were like, some of them weren't even going very far.
And you don't have permission on that private pond, right?
Yeah, which is it's a curse and a blessing, because they have a safe spot. So there's just tons of birds that stay here because they've never been hunted. They've never been shot once in their life on that pond. And I mean, we could see ducks circling in there. That's another thing. We would have like limited out on ducks today. Ducks worked into our set in the marsh, but it's not duck season.
Yeah. Jeez.
Like we had them like feet down in the goose decoys multiple times. Like, you know, we'd have like a flock of 12 just come right in there, and it's just like, you got to be kidding me. And I had like a black duck. I've never shot a black duck, come like 10 yards from me, and he sees me. I'm just standing there, and he's like flies right at me, cups, and then sees me and veers off at 10 yards. I'm like, I could have killed that thing.
Have you ever even seen a black duck before?
That was the first one I've seen.
Yeah, I've never seen one.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people in our area do get some. I talked to one guy this year. Their group shot 2 on one day, so it's not very often. But I don't know if they're more East Coast, because I know that out in some of the YouTubers in New York shoot them, and I've seen where Thomas from Virginia Outdoors Unlimited has shot them as well. So
yeah, they're definitely more East Coast,
which is weird. East Coast seems to not do that well for ducks, but
they got
black ducks. Yep.
It's not Midwest, I can tell you that. I don't think they have them on the West Coast either. I don't think.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't think they do.
So anyways, my voice is dying on me here tonight, but we ended up deciding we're going to jump into the path. Like we just decided that's what we're going to do. I know, Elliot, that's probably not your favorite thing to hear, pass shooting some geese.
No, that can be really fun, actually. We did a lot of that when I was in high school, when we didn't have any goose decoys at all. And pass shooting low-flying geese like that, I think that's the right choice. I think it can be really fun.
Yeah, so that was our decision. And so we moved over there. We had 2 groups kind of do it right in a row, where they would just fly right in that path. And we're like, let's just hop over there. And so we ran over there as fast as we could. Just took our guns and bags and chief and got over there. And so we were over there for like 3 minutes, and the first group does it. And at this point, I'm just filming, because I'm with the HDR guys. And, we knocked a few down, ended up shooting 4. So, it was definitely better than getting skunked. And
were they low or were they up there a little bit?
I would say the first group was pretty low, and then some of them were stretched out.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, pass shooting's not my favorite, but it sure beats getting skunked.
I like pass shooting geese. I've never moved to pass shoot ducks like that. I have no desire to pass shoot ducks normally, unless they're really low. But pass shooting geese, when they're coming in, when you can get in their flight pattern like that, is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see them fall.
Yeah. I think you guys salvaged it.
Yeah, salvaged it. But yeah, like I said, that place has been beating us up. So it's one of those days. I mean, we're talking about it again, and we call it like the cursed. It's like a cursed field or a cursed farm at this point. I mean, because it literally feels that way. Whatever we do, they do the opposite, and it's not like there's not birds there, and that's the frustrating part, because we go out there and we see 1,000 geese.
Yeah,
and none of them come over to us.
Whenever, like on the river, the times that we go in and find the roost, and bump them off there, we try really hard, if we can, not to shoot when we do it. I don't know how much difference it makes, but our idea is that with less, if you don't shoot, then maybe they'll be more likely to come back.
Yeah, we thought about that, but when you hadn't shot a goose in in a month, I'm like, I'm gonna take the shot I get.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I can't believe none of them came back in. I've never busted a big group off like that, not had at least a few singles come back in.
Well, I think the thing is that private pond, so it's like literally like 40 yards separate them.
Uh-huh.
And so it's just they have so many options.
Yeah.
When you have in the other pond, so there's a pond and then a 2-track drive that goes between it and a marsh, and then a 2-track, pretty much a 2-track and like a hiking trail that go in between that and the private pond. So they have so many options right there that it's just, easy for them to decide they're not going to come to the one you're at.
Yeah.
You got 4 options, so you have like a 25% chance of them actually doing that, and they seem to never do the same thing over and over.
Yeah, that'd be frustrating. Plus, once you get a couple groups of live birds on one of the other places, it's like your chances go down tremendous. Like when we were hunting that lake, the first couple groups we were pulling in, and then after a couple groups landed out there in open water, we were done.
Yep, that's how it goes.
At least you got some, right?
Oh yeah. I'm not overly, excited about the hunt, but not overly disappointed either.
So when's your next video coming out? Do you have anything in queue?
Yeah, I got that pheasant hunt video coming up, and then the Christmas hunt video coming up, and then we'll see from there. So I got plans to meet up with somebody in central Indiana this week to kind of get an extended duck hunt in this weekend. And then, we'll be hitting up Kansas at the end of your season.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully bringing home bag limits of pintail.
Never know. I'll tell you, the reverse migration, it has not started as much as I would have expected it to, because we've been getting warm south winds, but it is started because we're getting snow geese. So it's definitely the reverse migration has started. So from this point on here in Kansas, any warm up with south winds should bring up good numbers of birds. And maybe the reason why we're not seeing that many ducks on the reverse migration is I'm not sure that many ducks went south of us.
That's true. They're all still north.
Because this place in particular, they put out the that I'd like to hunt Saturday. I would suspect on a normal year there'd be thousands and thousands and thousands of ducks there, but the reports are not that good right now. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, what? The ice came off, south winds. I know this should be good. And I'm thinking maybe all those guys in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Texas have been crying for weeks about no ducks. Maybe there's nothing for them to come back up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I really think that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I just can't believe that there's not some ducks to come up.
Maybe the pintails. I bet the pintails
I guarantee you the pintails are south of us. I'll guarantee you that. There's no doubt about that. So, and yeah, I'd say we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe we
when I come there, if I can shoot any other duck, I'll be happy.
Yeah, maybe so.
But if it's just if it's just mallards, I'm not going to complain either. So,
I sure hope that we have at least one successful hunt out of the two that's at least like half of our limit or a full limit or something.
Yeah, yep. That's when I pull the trigger.
And I need one duck for my 100th. I've never shot 100 ducks in a year. I need one. I got 3 or 4 duck hunts left to get my one last century duck.
Nice.
Never thought it would happen until I was retired.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm probably never going to have that happen in Indiana.
Yeah, you never know.
Never
as much as you guys hunt, you had a good year.
No comment.
Because how many Tommy hunts you been on this year?
Oh, I don't know.
Pushing 40?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, at 40, all you have to average is like, what, 2.5?
I didn't average that, though.
0.5. Yeah, but you will average 2.5.
Maybe.
You will. I mean, you did well last year. You were shooting a bunch of birds.
You're right, yeah. I would have been close last year.
You'll easily put up a 2.5, 3.0 year. You'll easily do that at some point.
Yeah, it's going to take some more knowledge, more scouting, more spots, more time. And,
well, just less bad luck, which is what you guys have had a run.
And less bad luck. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's been part birds for you guys just not being there in weather, but also, I mean, how many times have you scattered and had birds and it's fallen through?
Almost an unbelievable amount of times.
And that's the same thing that happened to us on FDH season 2. I mean, everyone around here was shooting ducks. I was watching like Outdoor Limits videos. He was pounding ducks, and the same thing. So many times we had them scattered. They were there. You go the next day and you're just like, we should have shot something today, and we just didn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes just luck bites you.
Mm-hmm.
But you had a run of that for sure. Just like your Kansas trip. I mean, we've pounded them almost every single hunt, I can say every single hunt in this area, not including our early central part of the state hunts, because we had 2 bad hunts there. Every hunt has been a good hunt except the 2 you were on. Every hunt's been almost a limit except for the 2 you went on. That's nothing but bad luck.
You're making me feel so better.
Well, that's just nothing but bad luck.
I know. Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, I think that covers our update. You got anything else you want to add?
Well, I do want to say somewhere in Wisconsin, Chase was asking about A-frames in a field without much other cover around you, and we actually discussed that in detail with Jake from JT Calls. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And I mean, we probably did 5-10 minutes on that very thing. So, and the conclusion everyone's that we're hearing is saying is that you can kill birds in the field with not much cover with just the A-frames. Now, I will say, Jake was saying that they pull them in, but then he also said that they hope to get him in 30 or 40, which, I mean, if your goal is 30 or 40, I'm not quite sure that.
Well, I think he was saying that was his goal for how long of a shot he'd take.
I thought he was saying that their goal is to get them within 30, 40, but they may have to stretch farther than that.
No, I guess we both misunderstood.
That's how
interpreted that.
And if their idea of close, which I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying if their idea of close is 30 to 40, I'm not convinced that those A-frames are working like I would want them to work, because I want them 10 to 25.
Yeah,
so
I agree. I think, I mean, I can't speak for him because he's not here anymore, but I don't think that's what he meant when he said that.
Okay. I must have misunderstood it. I'm just until I see birds, until I'm in an A-frame standing out all by itself in a field and I'm shooting birds at 15 yards consistently, I'm not going to.
Well, you gotta try it to see.
Yeah, for sure. And we will eventually. Like the pond will be the first test, because we will use that A-frame on that pond. I don't think it'll happen Saturday just because I can't get it brushed. My dad still hasn't. I can't get it brushed like it needs to. And there's no place to brush it because the cows have eaten everything. But the first test will be on that pond's edge. And if we're killing them at 15 to 20 on that pond's edge, in that scenario, that'll do a lot for me. I mean, because there is nothing there except a field right up against the pond. So if we can kill them at 15 to 20 at that pond, at that range, I will be probably pretty close to a believer. So, but the general consensus, to answer Chase's question, the general consensus from everyone is that yes, you can kill them with very, very minimal cover, if any at all, in fields.
Yep. So yeah, before we head off, quick word. Big thanks to our partners, Lightsall. As you guys have heard us talk about throughout this season, they are the light company of our choice, making some high quality products. But definitely our favorite product, I think, for both of us and duck hunters, is the headlamp. Definitely a great headlamp for waterfowling. Super bright. I don't know the limits, but I know it's bright.
Well, I actually used the lantern in a really unique way the other day. We were playing a family game of Jeopardy, and there was not enough light in the room. I was like the quiz master, and I couldn't see what was on the cards. And so I put the little lantern right down there in front of there, and because the quad lantern has like 4 different sections, you can turn 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them on. And I put them right down there and turned them on. It's like, there we go, lights all.
Yep.
Whereas my kids were complaining about being in their eyes. I'm like, shut up! I'm trying to play a game. So go check out the products for sure.
Nice. All right. Well, that's all we got for this week. Before my voice completely gives out, we're going to call it a quits. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in and joining us for the podcast. Make sure to jump over to iTunes. Give us that 5-star review. We've definitely been seeing a few of you guys doing that, and we appreciate it. So keep them coming. We'll keep the podcast coming. And I'm Jordan, Duck Gun Chronicles, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, and we'll see you guys next time.